Okay, Ken. Now, something that kind of surprised me coming out of Jackson State's spring game is that they said that Grayson Thompson was the one who stole the show. Now, I have a question for you. Does this put him into the mix for the quarterback battle, or was he kind of already there? We just didn't hear as much about him.
Um, with Grayson, Grayson has. Here's what I say about Grayson. He is I would say this is his fourth year um, in college. He started at North Texas before transferring over to play behind Shador Sanders, who obviously he played behind for a couple of seasons, and he stayed on. Coach TC loves him. He's the main signal caller to the ones and the twos. And you're right. He was a very pleasant surprise, I'd say. He looked very poised with what the coaches asked him to do. Very smart kid. Like I said, he was able to catch on and go out and show what he could do. Now, as far as the um, whether he's in the mix, I'm just going to take what Coach TC stated. If he, as he said at the end of the press conference, it's a wide open position right now. So Grayson has just as much of a chance to go out and earn those first team reps, just as so much as Jason Brown, as well as Philip Short. And another quarterback that we all wanted to see, Zai McDonald, as he stated, tweaked the hamstring, so he wasn't out there in the spring game. But it's an open competition going into the summer, and then we'll see what happens in the fall. So not going to say that he can't, he's not, or that it's a far gone conclusion that someone has already solidified the role when the head coach just stated that it's wide open.
It's wide open, but I think a lot of times around this time frame, you would like to see somebody maybe have a slight edge. Do
Mm-hmm.
you think any of the four quarterbacks that are presently there have separated even by a slight margin?
I think so. Matter of fact, I know so. We've seen it in practice. I just
Who is it?
right now, I would say the ones you saw Jason Brown at the one spot in that role, and then I think with the twos you saw Philip Short, and then Grayson, earned additional snaps and he looked pretty good at it. But from what we've seen, from my opinion, Jason Brown projects, in my honest opinion, from what I've seen throughout the entire spring. I've been to multiple practices, and I get it. For those who are just now seeing the product on the field from the spring game, there is a collection of practices that many have not seen. So I don't think coach is going to make his decision based off of what he displayed. And then also keep in mind that what we saw from an offensive standpoint was very vanilla. I mean, I talked to a particular player today actually, and he stated they might have run 5 plays. So I don't think they. I think Coach Maurice Harris knows that everybody was looking, and he wasn't going to give a whole lot away to the public. So, but in my honest opinion, I would say Jason Brown right now would project to be the number one, and I feel like there is a slight gap between he and the other quarterbacks, not in talent, but in the competition. There's a slight gap there as far as who would be the number one versus the number two.
Let's look. Let's look
Right.
at the guys who are there. Donald McDonald, excuse me. He hasn't had really much time playing in college. In the weeks of practice, has he looked like somebody who hasn't started many games since high school and is kind of just
Which
been
player?
kind of a little rusty?
Which player are you referencing?
McDonald?
Zai McDonald?
No. Yeah.
Well,
He's a
Zai
Louisiana
McDonald
transfer,
actually,
right?
yeah, transferred in from Louisiana, raising Cajuns. Man, he looked good, man. Actually, he looked really good, and he was. I think he was scrambling, and he was having a really good practice, and then he pulled up and had a had a hamstring injury, and he's been. Excuse me. After speaking with Zai, he's projected to be healthy. Everything he should be back close to 100% middle of May from what we what the doctors have assessed. But I'm not I don't get into like the medical stuff of it, but just basically speaking to him, he's walking around. He was out there. He was on the sideline, and it looks like he's not limping as much as he was. So he said he feels like he's getting better, and he has time to get to heal. Now, as far as how he looked, from myself and others that have seen him, he looked pretty solid, man. I would have loved to have seen more, and would have even loved to have seen him available in this game. Because I think we could have saw a different element. I think Zai projects to be the better runner of all of the quarterbacks that we've mentioned thus far. Jason, Phillip, and even Grayson, they all can scramble, but Zai has that. He has that. He has more of an edge when it comes to that aspect of the game.
Okay. And going forward, I want to move away from this quarterback battle, and I want to talk about the TC Taylor era, because to me, this is just now getting started. I got a little bit of backlash. We have Ken Clark of 1400 Club. Man, my guy, I appreciate you coming on and doing this with me. Last week, I did an episode, and some Jackson State fans came in to defend. I wasn't trying to attack, and I didn't think I was being overly critical, but I was talking about the pressure that I perceive TC Taylor to be under, to not give fans of other universities the satisfaction of Jackson State having a bad year immediately after Deion Sanders. Because I think we both know, and anybody who's been paying attention knows, people have been wanting that, and they've been projecting that as soon as Coach Sanders would leave, Jackson State would plummet, essentially. Do you think that's a fair assessment, that he has a little bit of pressure to kind of continue and not skip a beat from the last two seasons?
That's actually a loaded question. First part of that, I'd say, man, is that Jackson State, we're a very passionate fan base, man. We've taken a lot of hits.
You ain't got to tell me.
We've taken a lot of hits over this past, I would say, last couple of years, and even prior to that. So, anytime you partner with a Deion Sanders, or you couple Deion Sanders coming to an HBCU space with Jackson State, it's gonna, create a lot of enemies. And then we dominated the SWAC, so I think a lot of people are just projecting as far as what they would like to see happen for Jackson State. Now, under the coach TC Taylor, is he under pressure? I think that's what you're asking. I do not think that Coach TC Taylor is under the pressure that the outside public may assume. We have to look at it this way. Coach TC carries a very quiet confidence about himself. In a very short period of time, we lose the Celebration Bowl, December 17th. He was able to assemble a staff, a great staff, I might say, in a very short period of time, and actually have a really good early signing day, which was December 21st, if my memory serves me correctly. And in this short period of time, he was able to get enough players in place, all while losing a ton of players to the portal. And you look at him coming in and stabilizing the program. Coach TC Taylor is a Mississippi native, son of Jackson State University. He played at their alma mater. He understands the temperament of the fans at Jackson State. And I would say that if there is pressure, he is going to champion it, because he's going to meet that pressure with this urgency to prove those that don't think that he's ready wrong. And I'm telling you that now. And I don't speak for Coach TC when he said, but I know he want to punch everybody in the mouth when they get out on the field. And I'm telling you now, this team's going to be a lot better than what we think. And I think he will welcome the pressure. Anytime you coach at Jackson State, it's pressure. It's going to be pressure from within. It's going to be pressure from without. Because all eyes are on Jackson State. So there is no expectation of seeing us take a dip. There is no expectation of seeing us take a fall. I think what you're going to see from a lot of people that are speaking without the facts is kind of from a place of hoping that we take a dip in the fall, because we like to talk smack in the SWAC, man. You know what I'm saying? We got a group called Rough in the SWAC, and all these other different groups on social media where we tend to give our opinions. But I've been somewhat, called a homer. I do feel like the expectation of of what we saw. We saw Coach Prime put together, out recruit everyone, and actually go out, and you saw that. Well, Coach TC did the same thing. We had the #2 FCS recruiting class right behind Campbell, and he's been able to stop the bleeding, I would say, from the portal standpoint. Now, the portal just opened up. We don't know if any other player is going to hit the portal again, but I'll tell you like this right here. He has this mentality that, look, if you even sniff the portal, if you go to the portal, we won't recruit you back. Have a nice life, and we'll go recruit someone to replace you. And that comes from a man that believes in himself. He believes in his coaching staff, and he believes that he's going to put a good product out on the field. And he knows that he's going to win. The expectation is to win. It's always the expectation to win at Jackson State. So I don't think he's under any more pressure than what he would have been if Deion Sanders never showed up. Just the mere fact that he's coaching at his alma mater at Jackson State, you know what I mean? Hey, he's called it the Mecca. That's what I know Howard uses that term, but when it comes to football, when it comes to we're the standard, man. And now I know people are going to be critical of that, but what we're talking about is an expectation, and we're not going to deviate from that, and we really don't care because he got enough pressure for those on the inside to win. And when he wins, we'll be happy about it.
Yeah, no, I heard. Somebody told me. I told you I wasn't trying to attack or be critical, but they told me when we win it all, I'm going to repost it. I said, okay, at least post the link. Drive the views back. If you're going to post it, drive the link. Post my link with it. That's all I'm asking, man. You talked about the transfer portal within there. Savion Wilkinson, he's no longer with the team. I don't know what you can tell about the situation, but it seemed like he had kind of reaffirmed his commitment to Jackson State, and then a few months later, poof, he's no longer with the team.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak about it just as much as you can. I mean, he
okay.
He did not report for spring ball, and has elected to weigh his options in a different direction. If you listen to this press conference after the spring game, the reporter asked a question, and Coach TC stated, it's very clear. Savion Wilkinson is no longer part of Jackson State football program. We wish him well. We love Savion. We wish he, would still be a Tiger. But we're in an era where NIL and the transfer portal, and these are some things that have really changed the makeup of college football. And talking to Coach TC this week, he made a very poignant point about his approach to how he built his approach to coaching in college. He said everything is year to year, just like the NFL. And he also stated that but seeing is believing. Someone could tell you one thing, Darius, and then turn right around and Darren, I'm sorry. I said Darius, it's my mistake. But he
thank you.
No, it's all good. So, but he said, listen, 1 minute you can say one thing, and then you turn around and then they enter the portal, because poaching is a very real thing. I mean, there's a lot of programs that are poaching from the smaller programs. There are a lot of, I don't mind going on record and saying this because I know this to be the case. There's some poaching going on from the university that our previous coach went to, and it happens, man. And I don't know, I'm not privy to every conversation, but I will say this, in relation to Savion, he did whatever he felt was best for himself and his family, and we absolutely wish him well. I really, 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 really wanted to, see Savion stay at Jackson State Tiger. Matter of fact, I just had a jersey made, a 36 jersey with Wilkinson on the back. I was ready to sport this year, man. And I'm still going to rock it because Savion knows how I feel about him. I know I've talked to him on multiple occasions personally, and it's no bad blood, man. It's just I really, really, really care about the young man as a person, and I really hope that he finds a place to call home. For me, Darren, I thought it was the most important aspect of it for me was I really wanted to see him graduate and be an alum of Jackson State, and because I felt like even if he played one more season, he could have graduated and then went on and hit the portal next year. But that's just my thought process. But I'm not him. I don't know what his options are. I don't know what conversations he's had, but we'll see. And the story of Savion Wilkinson is not over. It's just the chapter of Jackson State and Savion has come to an end.
Yeah, and that's I guess it's just what it's going to have to be. But I do like Wilkinson. I ain't going to lie. One thing that's different about this offense as opposed to last year that we can at least expect is a little bit more focus on the tight end position. What were you seeing in practice as far as what the OC was looking and what he was drawing up with DJ Stevenson and the tight end, kind of the tight end group?
Yeah, as he stated, Coach Maurice Harris, offensive coordinator, has stated that the most important position on offense is tight end because of what the many different formations. We saw so much, man, at practice, so many different formations. The way he uses the tight end. You see the tight end out in the slot. You see the tight end on the edge. You see double tights. You see 21 personnel. I mean, you see 12 personnel. You see man, my goodness, it's pretty cool. You see the tight ends going in motion, and you can see them moving around, and then they do something totally different from what you might have thought was going to happen. It is an offense that's going to really keep some teams on their toes, man. I mean, it's going to minimize the blitz. We're going to go extremely fast. And I do mean fast, man. And I think the tight end will be utilized in a lot of different spaces for, pass pro. My goodness, man. It wasn't just DJ Stevens. DJ didn't play in the spring game. Jency Riley, DJ Stevens, and then we got Hayden Hagler back, who it was nursing the injury the entire spring. So, and we're bringing in multiple tight ends. So we're probably going to sit around 5 tight ends maybe on the roster because of the importance of that role. And I mean, you can even see the tight end drop back somewhat look like an H-back, man. I mean, different formations, and it's going to really, really, really be fun to see what Coach Maurice Harris cooks up. I'm excited, bro, because for years we've been begging to use the tight end. And then under Coach Bartoloni last season, to see DJ Stevens, who's been on this roster 4+ years, man, we were like, man, DJ Stevens has been a weapon that's just been sitting there. We just never used the tight end position. Not like we should have, in my opinion. And Shador really went to him a lot last year. And it's going to be interesting to see which quarterback that's starting. But I can tell you now, I'm pretty sure they're going to go to the tight end quite a bit. And you're going to see our tight end room have a lot of catches and be very instrumental in what we're doing on the offense.
Yeah, I'm excited because there's not a lot of teams who you hear really say we're going to put a focus on using our tight ends. And that is a unique twist to the offense. But what about that defense? Because we've heard all about the offense. We talked about the defense through our first 2 segments. Let's close out and talk about the offense. Let's close out talking about the defense as we wrap up today's episode of Locked On HBCU. And as wrapping up today's episode of Locked On HBCU, thank you for making us your first listen of the day every day, making it all the way to segment 3. So thank you 2 times for that. I got my guy Ken with me here, and we're gonna wrap up talking about the defense because I was listening to Coach Taylor's post-game presser, and it's like every question was about the offense. Barely any questions about the defense, and I found that interesting. Is the defense kind of treated like a side of the ball, or looked at, I should say, not treated, but looked at as the side of the ball that they're going to take care of business? We don't really need to worry about them so much because we know what to expect out of them.
Well, I think the reason for those questions was because the offense is going to be a completely new offense with a new offensive coordinator and a new signal caller. I think with Shador, you knew what you were getting because it's like if we would have got Shador for a 3rd year, it wouldn't have been I don't think it would have been a lot of question marks about what you were going to be getting, right? But when you have an open competition and a lot of that going on. So when you look at continuity and you look at returners, as of right now, as we stand, I would definitely not say that the defense is the forgotten side of the ball because the defense, man, is for real. That defense is for real, man. And what we saw in the spring game, it was just like they were almost bullish, especially the front 4. Shout out to Niles Gaddy, you know what I mean? Devontae Davis, Jeremiah Williams, and Antonio Doyle. And you're talking about, I think, arguably right now, I don't have to go through many rosters to tell you that Jackson State's going to have the best defensive line in the conference. I'm telling you that now. And good luck. You give me my 4 up front versus your 4 any day. I'm telling you, man, it's for real. So I think the defensive side of the ball, man, unless you're getting interceptions, keep in mind the court they weren't able to sack the quarterback. They weren't able to so that they get in and get their hand on them. Okay, that's like touch football. So everybody wants to see passes and see touchdowns thrown, and that's kind of where our eyes go to. But let's say it was live action and Niles Gaddy was coming off the edge and he had 5 sacks, trust me, I guarantee you them questions would have been, man, Niles Gaddy had a monster game. But because of it being a spring game and it was a little bit, it was altered to curtail certain things. I think that's why the questioning went that way. Our defense is for real, man. We got a for real defense. We're adding. We actually do have more linebackers that are committed that will be joining in the summer, but they're just not on campus right now. We know we lost Uriente Davis to the portal, but you also KJ Arrington had a monster SWAC championship game. He had a shoulder situation. He elected to go ahead and address that in the offseason, so he's healing. You're talking about a really good linebacker that's going to be coming back. Joining the likes of Alan Walker and Javarian Jenkins, who we got from Pearl River, or is it? I think it's Jones Community College. Then you add a Jamon McNeil from Lackawanna, as well as we added, I think, the Polynesian kid. We call him Junior from Snow College. So 2 big linebackers. Then you have a Noah Ballou coming in from Lancaster High School. So the linebacker position is going to be quite healthy. Not to mention whatever they decide to add during this back end of the spring going into the summer. But the back end, the DBs are strong, man. Jalen Hughes, shout out to Jalen and K5. You're talking about 2 DBs that have several starts under their belt. And then you get to the back end with an All-American transfer from Delaware State, Isaiah Guthrie, as well as Keydrink Halligan transferring in from ULM. I think that defense, from what we've seen, that first string defense, and there's just a few more bodies going to be added to the 2 and 3 deep level. I think the defense is about as best as it's going to, as we've seen. And I'll say this, one last thing: Aubrey Miller has been there. Aubrey Miller Jr. is projected to get drafted in the draft this month. Aubrey said that defense has a great chance to be better than they were.
You just mentioned Aubrey Miller, right? And I thought it was interesting that he said that, because the star power isn't the same as it was last year. But sometimes just being a cohesive unit is enough to improve despite name recognition. But I look at Aubrey Miller, and there's a big hole left by Miller in that defense as a player and as a leader. So who's going to replace Aubrey Miller, the leader on that defense? And who's going to replace him as far as his specific spot in the linebacking core?
Well, just from a projection standpoint, we're expecting Alan Walker, transfer from La Tech, number 0 at the spring game. He's a very, very big kid, man. A really big, solid linebacker. Coach TC is expecting a lot out of Alan going into this season. From a leadership standpoint, I think that's going to come from a collection. As of right now, man, they just operating such as a unit right now, man. I want to say the likes of Niles Gaddy and Antonio Doyle, a lot more vocal this year. Isaiah Guthrie, just a very vocal leader, but these guys are leading by example by going out there and just doing the work and doing the job. I think in the spring it's kind of hard to grasp that. It's going to be a little different, man, once you get into your fall camp, because now it's about, look, man, we're about 20 plus days away from going to Atlanta to face South Carolina State. At this point, it's money time. who you're in that locker room with is who you're going to war with at this point. The portal's closed. Ain't no more portal. We talk about the portal at the end of the season unless somebody just elected, I'm mad about something, I want to leave. Outside of that, you're pretty much going to war with who's there. When that happens, I think that the excitement of being able to go hit somebody that's not in a Jackson State jersey, I think you're really going to see a lot from that. So losing Aubrey was critical. It was clear who the leader of the defense was. But I'm going to lean on, I think it's going to be several leaders on that team right now, man, on that defensive side. And I like what I'm seeing from Allen on that front four again, man. When I say leader, I mean even Devontae Davis. Devontae Davis was a leader under last year, actually. So last season. So let's not leave him out. We'll see who emerges. Those are just 5 that I mentioned that could possibly step into that role, but we'll see. It's yet to be determined.
I mean, I appreciate you for coming on and leading the charge, with the Jackson State congregation. Hopefully, because you're here, they say nice things to me today. They typically pretty nice. If they feel like I'm coming at them even a little bit, they're going to come at me. But
well, only thing I would say, in closing, man, is anytime you speak on Jackson State, just make sure you have your facts. Opinions are warranted. It's okay, man. If you have an opinion that's opposing, I always say nobody owes Jackson State positive commentary, but just be fair and make it about football. As long as it ain't no personal stuff, and hey, man, they'll be okay, man. But if they don't,
I love it.
But
I love it personally.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy it. Let's. I don't mind the disagreement. We keep it respectful. One person's like, y'all, all we talk about is Jackson State. I'm like, okay, you don't be on the show often. It's okay. But look. I mean, I love my Jackson State fam. I love my Grambling fam. I love everybody. But we gonna talk about this game. And
no doubt about it.
And that's the way I look at it, But
I
genuinely appreciate you coming on. I met you guys.
Appreciate you for having me, bro.
Say it again.
No, I said I appreciate you for having me on, man. I thank you.
Yeah, man. We're going to do this again. We got to collab. Now that we didn't have the link set, we can continue to build it. But I appreciate you coming on. Can you tell everybody where to find you so that they can, if they aren't already following you on Twitter, they can make sure to stay up to date with you?
Yeah, again, it's Ken Clark _1400 and co-host of Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple Music. You name it, wherever you go and get your podcast from. Also have a YouTube channel, KC 1400 Media. That's KC _1400 Media Group. And we're on YouTube as well. We do weekly Monday, Wednesday, Friday shows live, myself and Zoe Phillips. And man, same on IG, Ken Clark 1400. Hey, come hit me up, man. Anytime you want to talk to Jackson State, I'm here for you, man.